Hello, and welcome in to the 6th episode of Kent and Coad, serving the hottest and coldest takes in Vandy Sports Radio. I'm Bobby Kent, alongside Nathan Coad and Mark Dellostritto. Wherever you are listening, we are excited to have you. All right, let's get to it. Let's dive right into the top stories of an eventful time in sports. We'll start with the NFC, or the NFL Conference Championship games. We saw the 49ers defeat the Packers 37-20 to advance to the Super Bowl, and we saw the Chiefs take down the Titans 35-24 to advance to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the NFC game first. Guys, what surprised you most about this game?
I think the thing that screams at you off the box score is Jimmy G only attempting 8 passes the entire game, yet the offense still managing to score 37 points, which I think is just a testament to the run game. And, Raheem Mostert kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, to me, like, the entire season, he looked like the third best back on the team behind – because Matt Breida had a good year last year.
He had to step up, according to Joe Buck on the broadcast.
I don't know what Joe Buck was talking about. But Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida were kind of the two main guys for most of the season until the very end. And then Raheem Mostert just came in. And the last few weeks, he's been really good, actually. And I think Kyle Shanahan is the kind of coach who likes to play the hot hand at running back. And so Raheem Mostert got hot, and he went off. And that was kind of that for that game. I mean, when you have 220 rush yards and 4 touchdowns, that's just
it's
absurd.
Very impressive on such a stage as well. I think it's just kind of refreshing to see, obviously in the NFL, people put so much emphasis on the quarterback position, and they say you need a star quarterback to win. But I know Nate might get to something like this in a little bit, but I guess it just shows that kind of if you're just going with the run game, that it can still just make a big impact, and you can still just have that as your primary mode of offense. And it's also obviously that's big too, coming up in the Super Bowl, because obviously if you're running the ball a lot, you're using a lot of clock, and that's
controlling time of possession.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in a game like that where every second matters, that's also a big thing as well. So yeah, the impressive stuff coming out of San Francisco there.
So this kind of raises the question that we thought of: do you need an elite quarterback to be a consistently good team in the NFL and to win the Super Bowl, reach it, whatever? I will say yes.
I thought yes. I think just because it's a narrative that's pushed so much by most of sports media.
I'll give you that one. I agree with that one.
Because you see all they talk about is elite quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks. You need an elite quarterback, and I kind of believed it until this year. And now I mean in terms of long term success, I think Jimmy G can do more than he's doing right now.
Yes, they have a formula that works right now, and it's Mark said, it's around the run game.
When I'm talking about an elite quarterback, I mean Jimmy G. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite for me. So I think that I think you have 2 case studies in the 49ers and the Titans this year with that.
Yeah, I think the key part of this is consistently good.
Yes, that's what I was kind of going to get into.
Yeah, you can go on with that.
Because we don't know if the 49ers, I mean, this is a great run this year, right? And the Titans had a great run this year. But I want to see this. I'm starting to believe in it more and more now that I see this formula with the Titans and the 49ers. But I have to see this for sustained, this kind of style sustained for multiple seasons to say, you can do it. Because this could just be a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And I'm trending towards saying that, but I can't say it with any real certainty at this point.
I'm gonna go yes based on one of the facts that if you look at the top, or not the top, if you look at the most recent Super Bowl winners from the last, I'd say 15 years, you have Tom Brady, elite quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, elite quarterback in that time. I mean, still up until a few years ago. Peyton Manning in his first Super Bowl, elite. Eli Manning played out of his mind. Ben Roethlisberger, so Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco is playing really well, Russell Wilson. So these guys are these elite quarterbacks that they talk about. These are the ones who are winning the MVPs in the Super Bowls, and these are the ones who are leading their teams to the Super Bowls. So, and having, majority of them won MVP during Super Bowl MVP of these games. So I do believe you need one. The 49ers are, like you said, a case study in a team that doesn't necessarily need it because they have so many other pieces. This team also has a very good defense.
Yes, I think that's the key too.
Yeah.
I think I think part of the formula is run game and defense. If you're gonna win big and win consistently without an elite quarterback, I think it's elite run game and elite defense. I mean, and you saw that kind of with the Titans when the run game started to fall apart a little bit. That's the only concern with this style of play is when the run game gets stopped.
It's relying too heavily on one thing.
Yes, that's the problem.
I mean, even if you do have an elite quarterback, you do still need to have complementary pieces around him, and that's what makes a championship team. Like, you can't rely necessarily on one specific thing. I think you see that with the Packers. Then that's why necessarily. I mean, they had a great run, but they didn't. I don't think they beat the 49ers because they ran into a situation where Aaron Rodgers had to do everything. And his supporting cast was Devontae Adams, who's very good, but they're going to lock in on that and then be able to key in on him and almost shadow him and shut him down. And then you also have Jimmy Graham, who's not as good as he used to be anymore. So they're kind of forcing Aaron Rodgers to do a lot with nothing, and that's hard. So
I think, Bobby, something important that you said was how you have these quarterbacks getting you to the Super Bowl a lot of years. Like, this formula, like while it can be good and you can win some games and you can have good seasons here and there. I think having the elite quarterback, it gives you it kind of like puts you into position more often to get to the Super Bowl in the first place.
It extends your window.
Yeah. It kind of gives you a little bit of an edge there and getting there in the first place, which I think is important.
And that leads into sort of the next question I have here. What do you think about this? Do you think Aaron Rodgers' window is closing? I mean, he's certainly given them a huge window. I mean, actually, the Packers in general really benefited from the last 20 years of elite quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback play from Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and it's kind of sad to see they've only gotten 2 Super Bowls out of it. Aaron Rodgers now coming off this season, he's 36. I mean, how much more do you think he has left in the tank? Is it over for the Packers? It's not a dynasty, but is the time frame done?
I think he's still got it. I think he's what, 36, right?
Yeah, he's 36.
Brady is 42 or
Brady's
3?
42 or 43.
Okay,
yeah.
So I think Rodgers himself has still got it. I think the Packers have done a terrible job of surrounding him with elite pieces. I mean, as much as I hate that this is a part of sports, it's hard to draw good free agents to Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's
market
hard.
teams. You see it
It's
generally
hard.
more in the NBA, where people talk about big market versus small market.
People want to go to
Those
the
conversations
Knicks,
come
want to
up.
go to the Nets just because they're in New York. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that comes into play a little bit here. But this year was different because they gave him a defense. I think in the past they've struggled to really give Aaron Rodgers a consistently good defense, and the defense was pretty good for most of the year. I think you just see a lack of they just consistently had a lack in the last few years, a lack of explosive weapons on offense. Because Aaron Jones is a really good running back, and Devontae Adams is an explosive first-team All-Pro wide receiver, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But outside of those two guys, there's no other targets.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no other dynamic options. And I mean, the word I would that was a good first season for Matt LaFleur, but the word I would use to describe watching the Packers this year was fragile. They did not look. They looked like they were a shaky 13-3 team. And I know it's hard to say about a team that's 13-3.
I was going to say, yeah, that is
But
difficult to
when
say.
you watched games, they looked like some of those games they were just hanging on for dear life, like against the Lions at the end of the season. They barely snuck out a win while playing all the starters, even though it was a week
in that
17
game, if they hadn't won that, they wouldn't have gotten the first round bye, which would have been completely
It
different.
just looked so fragile at times. It looked like one thing could just – I don't know how to describe it really, but I never trusted the Packers when I was watching them this year, even though they were 13-3. I just didn't – I don't know. They didn't have enough – they just don't have enough explosive weapons on offense. And I think the longer and longer they continue to go without having weapons on offense, the smaller and smaller Aaron Rodgers' window gets. And his – I mean, I don't know. He's got a big contract, but if you're Aaron Rodgers – do you want to leave? At some point, I mean, I don't know if it's coming to that, but like,
I don't know if I would bring that up. I don't know about that.
I think that's a stretch.
but
I think that's a stretch.
That's a very
That's a
stretch, I
stretch,
think.
but like, I don't know. Do you get sick of it at some point? Do you get sick of coming up short every year, and do you get sick of lacking
I think every player does,
weapons? But he's. Bobby,
I wouldn't say he's going to leave.
He's still extremely talented, and he can still win. The Packers, a team with Aaron Rodgers should be a contender. And even though the Packers were in the NFC Championship this year, did you ever really get the vibe that they were a real contender to win the Super Bowl? Because for me, I didn't. I never got the vibe that they had a legitimate chance of winning the Super Bowl this year. And I don't know if that's just me being sort of biased because I don't like the Packers, but I genuinely did not have faith in the Packers winning the Super Bowl this year or having a real chance of winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, solid points. I mean, actually, let's transition to a team that no one gave a chance to even get this far, I'd say. In the Tennessee Titans, I mean, losing 35-24 to the Chiefs, they could not be upset at all with their run. I mean, you went from potentially being a first-round exit and with being sneaking into the playoffs in the AFC as a 6th seed and then upsetting the Patriots in Foxborough and then going to Baltimore and beating the Ravens and the MVP candidate and basically will be MVP Lamar Jackson, and then coming close and having the lead on the Chiefs for the beginning of that game until their defense kind of let them down and Mahomes did what he did. But I mean, the unfortunate thing is they needed Derrick Henry to run again for about 150 yards, and it's just hard to ask a guy to do that 4 straight games, because I'm considering that the Week 17 game, they'd beat the Texans to get in, is like a playoff game. So you're asking a guy to do that 4 straight weeks, and that's really hard. And to credit to the Chiefs, because they made Ryan Tannehill become a thrower, and they won the game off that. So I don't know.
Give one last sad tighten up. Sad to see the boys go down on Sunday, but I think it's just you felt like it had to catch up with them at some point. Just being so one-dimensional, having to rely on Henry so much. It seems like the Chiefs figured it out, and once it got to that point, it just wasn't sustainable. Thought there might still be just a little bit more of that fire that they had. Thought maybe they had a little more magic in the tank. I know we all here would have loved the parade down Broadway.
That would have been epic.
Well,
but it makes sense. The run had to come to an end at some point, because, like I said, you get a good enough defense, they'll figure out what you're doing, and I don't think Tannehill is playing at that level right now to carry a team in that sort of situation.
The thing is, Tannehill, like I feel like they became more run heavy as time went on in the playoffs, because Tannehill, they were still kind of one dimensional during the regular season towards the end of the season, but they weren't like that one dimensional for most of the time Tannehill was playing, I think. I mean, I don't know if that has something to do with just like the way they schemed. Obviously, it worked against Baltimore, and it worked against New England, but I don't know. I also think the one mistake the Titans can't make is falling in love with Ryan Tannehill, because
he's 31 as well.
I don't think he's the quarterback of the future in Tennessee.
No, you have to start young in Tennessee
if
somewhere
you want
again.
to get to the next level and actually be in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, I think you have to get a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. As good as he's been this year, and as much as he's done what they've asked him to do, but I think if you bring in a guy who's really talented and who can kind of unlock, because you've got Corey Davis and A.J. Brown at receiver.
Guys who've shown that they're going to be pretty
good.
Jonnu
Smith, who's emerging at tight end. And I think if you really want to unlock the full potential of those weapons and open up even more room for Derrick Henry to run by not being so one-dimensional, I think you have to bring in a quarterback, maybe even this year in this draft. I don't know. It's going to be hard with their position.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to kind of get out of this love affair with Ryan Tannehill right now, like you said. But also, I think another priority is you got to lock up Derrick Henry for the foreseeable future.
100%.
This team doesn't really have much of a future without their perennial running back and star.
Yeah.
So
They might
And
be
if
able
they
to-
somehow let him go, the fan base would never let him hear the end of it.
Oh no.
No, they'll keep Henry, obviously. I think that's another reason why it would be beneficial to bring in a young guy, is because you can pay Derrick Henry a lot of money, and you don't have to pay a young guy a lot of money right away. And I know their draft position is going to be towards the end of the very end of the first round, but they might be able to get maybe a Jordan Love if they're lucky. Maybe a Jacob Eason, who I think has some potential. So as long as they don't get Jake Fromm. But I think they should try to bring in a young quarterback and at least give Tannehill some competition, some legitimate competition in the offseason, and kind of see where that goes. But I think if they keep the current structure on defense, keep Derrick Henry, and then get a younger, maybe more talented quarterback, that they could do big things next year too. So I think we got to see where that goes in the draft and everything, and where they decide to go as a franchise. But yeah, I don't know. I just do not want them to fall in love with Tannehill, because that's not the answer long term.
No, I don't think it is either.
Yeah.
But let's give some credit to the Chiefs on the other side of this. They had a winning formula for this entire game, and Patrick Mahomes, the man, had made some really great runs, along with his spectacular passing. You saw one of the best runs you'll see by a quarterback in a championship game, where he went down the left sideline and then made a guy miss, and then also probably poor tackling on the Titans' part, and then did a spin and then got into the end zone, and that was just like an energizer moment for them. Talking about a guy who can give such a spark to his team. And they've also done a great job of surrounding him with pieces like we talked about.
They have weapons.
I
days.
mean,
Yeah.
Travis Kelce,
Mecole Hardman,
Tyreek
Tyreek
Hill.
Hill.
Go down the board. But he really injected some life into that team, and he did that this entire postseason. He did that, against against the Texans when they were down 24-0. He never gave up, and I think that's going to serve him really well in the Super Bowl. So we will see. What happens with that? What happens with them in the Super Bowl? But I certainly almost wouldn't bet against them.
It's going to be quite the clash of styles.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm really intrigued to watch this, and I think it'll kind of give us more information to work with in that debate about can you win without an elite quarterback, and kind of
sure
looking at that into the future. So it'll be really interesting to watch that develop.
All right, so we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to go to the hardwood. We're going to talk about some NBA action. And I think there's going to be a spicy debate coming up you do not want to miss. welcome back in to Kent and Coad. Let's go on the hardwood. Let's talk about the NBA. So we have a couple surprises this season. Some teams that we didn't think were going to do so well after some recent trades, specifically the Thunder. They are 25-19, and then the Raptors are 29-14. So what's happening here?
I think you've seen some guys step up on the Thunder that you didn't really expect to step up. I mean, Gallinari's good. He's been good. But I think
Mark, what did you tell me during the break he's averaging this season?
He's averaging 19.2 points per game, which is, I mean,
Nice.
the man has proved to be.
I think they're.
No, I was just going to say he's proved to be a pretty good bench player over the past couple of years. Occasionally a starter here and there, but certainly unexpected coming into this year to be averaging those kind of numbers.
I think the emergence of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been huge. And you saw his potential in LA last year. But he's really become a leader of that team, and he's become a consistent scorer, averaging around 20 a game. And he's also a lot of fun to watch. He's really smooth. But I think you just see him playing as a team. You got Chris Paul averaging 17 a game, Dennis Schroeder averaging 18 a game, and then Gallinari and Shea averaging around 19 and a half a game. So when you get that level of scoring from four guys, and then you also have Steven Adams, who's been consistently good throughout his career. So I think when you have and they play together, I think just playing together as a team, because they're obviously not they have talent, but they're not one of the they don't have elite talent, I'd say. I don't think Chris Paul is an elite talent at this point in his career.
No, he's not, but he provides a veteran leadership to that team
and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
you can't put on a stat sheet.
Yeah, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a star, I think, but he's still at the very beginning of his career. So I think the way this team is meshed and the way they play together as a team has been the key to them being good so far this year.
And they also haven't bought into that narrative that they were going to be bad this year. I think a lot of teams will hear that narrative from the outside before the season started and say, oh, look, we lost to Paul George. We lost to Russell Westbrook. How can we be good? Guys who were on the bench last year now have to start. How are we going to be good? But now, they have tuned that out to their credit, and they've kept the course, and they've been one of the really surprising teams this season.
Yeah, I think you guys just mentioned Chris Paul being there and providing that veteran just giving that veteran presence to the team. I think that's really important for him to be there to just kind of mentor Alexander and just kind of help him show the ropes and be like, hey, here's how you be an NBA player. And it seems like that's definitely helping him in his development, I would think. And just the fact, looking at it, they have 5 guys that are averaging double digits. And that, wow. come playoff time, compared to another team we're looking at, like the Rockets, which we will bring up very soon, bit of a more balanced scoring attack there, which is, really important. If a guy's having an off night, you can just get picked right back up by everyone else.
That you see that a lot too in college basketball with comparing Chris Paul to like a senior on the team or something, somebody
Absolutely,
leading
yeah.
it. Also, guys who can pick up the slack. But so. Another team that we just mentioned that's surprising, the Raptors.
With the loss of Kawhi.
I'm
not as surprised at this as a lot of people are.
I would say I'm not either, because people were talking about Pascal Siakam as potential MVP candidate, and man, has he stepped up. The guy's averaging 23.7 points per game this season. He's playing around 35 minutes. He's averaging 7 rebounds, about 4 assists. So. And his player efficiency rating is about an 18, which I think, if I remember this correctly, puts him around the top 40 of NBA players. But
which is
honestly
the efficiency rating is kind of a weird metric.
It does take into account. I don't really fully understand it either.
Chris Boucher has a higher player efficiency rating than him, which is
and he plays about 12 minutes a game.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
reference.
So it's not the best metric. But I remember I went to the Bucks Raptors game last season. And I was ready to watch Kawhi go off, whatever. And then Pascal Siakam drops 30, and I'm like, who is this guy? But he's turned into one of the premier players in the East. And I think honestly you knew he was going to be good this year, and I think the biggest key has been Kyle Lowry, kind of the re-emergence of Kyle Lowry.
He's averaging 20 points a game this year.
He struggled. He wasn't bad last year. He wasn't great though, and he was overshadowed by Kawhi, obviously. But like the reemergence of Kyle Lowry has been huge, and then you've got Van Vliet averaging 18.5, and you just got a lot of
Wichita State.
And also, this regular season, his 20 points per game are about 6 points per game higher than his career average.
Yeah. So I mean, you got Lowry stepping up, and you've got role players also stepping up. I think it's kind of a similar dynamic to Oklahoma City, although I think Siakam's a bigger star than anyone that Oklahoma City has.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
For sure.
But you kind of get that same like vibe with this team, I think. Just being able to play together, which I think is kind of an underrated attribute of teams in the NBA nowadays because people focus so much on the star power. Which is key. I think you need superstars to be a finals contender and a truly elite team. But I think the team chemistry thing is really overlooked, and I think that's
right.
People wonder what's quote wrong with the Clippers because I say that in quotes because they're the 2 seed in the West. But there have been times this year where they've looked flat out bad, and I think it's just people are overlooking the fact that this is a new team.
They haven't had much time to play together.
Who have not played together, and
Paul George came into this team a little bit late too, from his injury at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so I think you're kind of seeing that whole team chemistry dynamic
and load management, which we've talked about a number of times, doesn't help either.
No, I know this is we're kind of sidetracking off into the Clippers, but I think it's an important discussion because I think load management hurts their chemistry. I don't think they should be doing it at this point in the season. I think they need to play together as much as possible.
That's a fair point.
The argument for it is rest the guy for the playoffs. If you can rest him against a potentially more inferior opponent, then maybe you could save him, and then he'll be fresher in the playoffs, whatever. But I've never really thought about how it affects team chemistry.
I think Kawhi and PG should be on the floor together as much as possible right now.
Because I mean, you can simulate it in practice, but obviously it's not at all like the real thing. And
full game speed and everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need to be on the court as much as possible right now.
Yeah.
Because there's times where they look like they don't know what they're doing out there, and there's discontinuity. You see them put on great performances, and you see them be able to go beat the Lakers, and then you also see them lose by 40 to the Bucks, which the Bucks are the best team in the NBA, but losing by 40 when you have Kawhi and Paul George is not the expectation. So I think it's just been a kind of inconsistent season so far, and I don't think load management has been helping that at all. So we'll see what happens down the stretch. But for me, I think team chemistry is a super underrated thing in the NBA, and I think you're seeing it play out with benefiting the Raptors and the Thunder and hurting the Clippers up to this point. But these guys are professionals, so we'll see how that plays out at the end towards the end of the season.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you?
I was gonna say
I don't have anything else on that really.
Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say it sort of reminds me of the Lakers, who we have down here, as the question we ask is, do they have a stranglehold in the West? It kind of reminds me of them a little bit in that LeBron and AD need as much time as possible to play together and to gel before the playoffs. I mean, they just lost an embarrassing game to, who did they lose to? The Celtics, yeah. They lost by 30 last night. I mean, you can chalk that up to an off night. I think a lot of people will and have already. And that when they come playoff time, playoff LeBron is a different animal, and Anthony Davis is played really well in the couple playoff series he's been in, and they're going to be super hungry and they're going to figure it out. But I mean, I wouldn't hit the panic button on it. But
on the Lakers?
On the Lakers, no. I mean, I'm talking about just on a loss like that. Yeah, you just chalk that up.
No.
But yeah, okay, yeah. You thought I was going to say I was going to hit the panic button on the Lakers? No, that'd be worse than your take you're about to give.
No.
If it becomes obviously a routine, then it's something to watch out for. But yeah, one little game here and there.
I think the Lakers, the West is strong. The West is really strong. So I think there's been the outside appearance of the Lakers. They've been consistently in first in the West up to this point. But I think in the back of your mind, as much as I've been talking about, the chemistry of the Clippers and they need to play together, I think that's just always that they're just lurking right there behind the Lakers. And postseason Kawhi is a beast.
Oh my God, yeah.
like you've seen. And then you have really solid teams with the Nuggets and the Jazz, who are tied with the Clippers for second in the West. So I don't think they have a stranglehold on the West by any means yet. Because you've seen them show weaknesses at times this season and put on bad performances. And you've got a really talented Western Conference and the Clippers lurking right there in your own building. And
sharing a locker room with you.
Can do, what Paul George can do. And they do not have a stranglehold on the West, and there's a lot of good teams lurking right behind them.
Well, let's talk about one of those teams that has kind of underperformed in the West, the Rockets. So, what do you think's wrong with them this season?
The problem with the Rockets is James Harden.
Here it comes.
Oh, boy.
The problem with the Rockets is James Harden. Okay?
Would you like to expand on that, Nathan?
I would very much like to expand
Pop off,
on that.
King. Pop
okay. Being an elite... I don't know why Mark just said that. being an elite scorer does not translate to wins. I cannot deny the fact that James Harden is a great scorer and that he's leading the league in points per game right now. But there's something wrong with that team, and I think it goes back to him. And
I want to cue in on your one point. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I'm going to cue in on your point that being a volume scorer does not lead to wins.
Doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't.
This might be a little bit out of left field, but this man was an Olympic gold medalist 2012.
Oh,
okay.
Stop.
Bobby.
Okay, no, fine. I have better points than that.
Yeah, let's get to that.
I have better points than that.
You better have better points than that. Because I don't care about the Olympics. He's playing with like LeBron. The Olympics does not matter.
Okay, he was the MVP in 2018.
Yes, a
which
regular
means
season award.
Okay.
By the way,
well, no, but then
so
you're telling me that does you think the MVP matters?
To an extent, yes, but to an extent, no.
What do you mean?
The MVP is very media driven. It is driven by.
It's also
media
based
narrative.
on performance.
Well, what happens is if one guy.
The MVP is written as not in a postseason award.
It's not a postseason award, so it doesn't matter as much to me. A Finals MVP, I won't go that far. A Finals is way more valuable than an MVP.
I could agree with that.
A Finals is way more valuable than an MVP. It's a regular season award voted on by the media, driven by the narratives that the media creates throughout the season.
Because what makes you a great player is, sure, you can score a lot of points, but obviously,
are you a winner?
Exactly. When it comes to the big games, when you're playing against LeBron in the Western Conference Finals, if you're just not going to get it done for your team, then
James Harden is not a winner, Bobby. He has not shown the ability to stop volume shooting. The pieces that the Rockets have are good.
James Harden has averaged in the playoffs in 2017-18 28.6 points per game. 2018-19 last season he averaged 31.6 points per game.
And what was his shooting percentage?
41%. You cannot tell me that James Harden does not do as well for his team. He's giving it all he has.
Yes, by shooting.
But Bobby,
clearly
that's what he's supposed to do. He's a point guard.
You know what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the results to change. James Harden keeps shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and losing and losing and losing and losing. And he thinks he can keep shooting and shooting and shooting and winning. He is not showing the willingness to get his teammates involved consistently.
He has
stop shooting and win.
He averaged 7 assists per game in those playoff series.
Yes, but the thing is, you think about.
I'd say it's getting the ball to people.
He's done basically the same thing for the past couple seasons now, and they haven't won anything.
I will give it to you. They pushed the Warriors to 7 in the Western Conference Finals.
Yes, they did.
But
and if it were not for Chris Paul's hamstring injury, we could be talking about the Rockets as NBA champions right now.
Potentially, but we're not. So that really doesn't matter.
That is true.
Hypotheticals really don't matter in sports.
No, but he's done the same thing the past couple of years, and the same thing has happened in the playoffs. And if he were a great player, he would be able to adapt to whatever his team needs.
Also,
to
because
help him get to that winning formula.
I don't think the Rockets need him to score 40 points a game to win.
They do.
No, they don't.
This team is built on him scoring 40 points a game to win.
They have Russell Westbrook, who can score consistently.
Yes, Russell Westbrook is not. No, Russell Westbrook is not
a top 5 center.
Okay, what happened when he went 1 for 17 last night from 3?
Okay, but he didn't need to go 1 for 17 from 3.
He could have stopped shooting. He was shooting bad. He could have started passing and doing something productive.
I think
Bobby,
he had like 6
Clint
assists
Capella,
that game.
Clint Capella is when
No,
Six
but
assists for the guy who brings down the ball every time and has the ball in his hands for
So much.
probably more than half of his team's total possession time.
No, but what I'm saying is the Rockets need him to score that much to
don't.
win.
No,
he
they don't.
No, listen.
No, they
No.
don't.
He leads them by his play, leads them to regular season wins, which allows them to get into the playoffs. Sometimes, have you seen their records the last 4 years?
Well, last year they weren't that good.
Okay, they were still like third in the conference. That's
Okay,
still good.
Bobby,
Listen. Those regular season, he's helping his team in the regular season get to the playoffs. That if they don't get those wins, they don't make the playoffs. Okay? So, and then come playoff time, he's been used so much. He has one of the highest usage rates in the entire NBA, in NBA history. Okay, over the last like 3 or 4 seasons. All right? This man is on the court all the time. He's giving it his all the time by scoring. He's consistently showing up every night. Okay? You
Is
can't
he,
fault
though?
him.
Is he consistently
He's doing what he's
showing up?
doing. Yes.
Because the man will shoot like 10% from 3, like 1 every 3 games.
Show me that stat. I don't believe that.
He shot 5% from 3 last night.
Okay, that's an off night.
Yeah, okay,
See-
but when you're having an off night shooting, you shouldn't just keep shooting.
See,
He
Bobby,
has a usage rate of 40.2%, meaning he has taken a shot or turned the ball over on roughly 2 out of.
What was the second part of that again? Can we get a reminder?
Congratulations, you just played yourself because his usage rate means that he's shooting the ball a lot and turning the ball over a lot. So I don't know.
No, this is actually no. I did not. This is actually an article saying why one way James Harden's scoring streak is more impressive than Wilt Chamberlain's, who, if you remember, scored 100
obviously,
points in a game.
Because he's playing like 6. He was huge, and he's playing against like 8 teams with guys that are like 6'5".
Yeah.
Like,
See, the thing I'm thinking about now is James Harden is a talented. He has enough talent to probably score have the same impact, but in less time. Like, he doesn't need to shoot 17 threes in a game. To say if he made 9 of them or something. Like, he's talented enough to where he could probably have around the same stats, but just in less time and with less shots and everything. He could just value possession more instead of just chucking it up all the time.
Bobby,
And
I
he
don't
can
think
just-
he's
the fact that
chucking
he
it
chucks.
up on the time.
He
No.
chucks.
No.
Bobby,
Sometimes-
he scores
sometimes.
37 points a game, and it's impressive. But he's shooting. He's shooting so many shots. He's averaging 24 shots a game, Bobby. 24 shots a game.
Wow.
out of a
That's
team
a
total.
lot.
Well, I think
Of
it's also a
91.
problem when you pair Russell Westbrook, who's ball dominant, and James Harden, who's ball dominant. So it's not necessarily all on James Harden here. It's Russell Westbrook is also
Well-
a guy who you have said in our meetings. You said he's a stat stuffer.
He
The guy
is-
tries to take the ball in his hands and pad his stats.
He is a
So-
stat stuffer.
Yes, so it's a fault of the
At
Rockets
times.
GM to putting this team together where you have 2 ball dominant players right next to each other, and then expecting to win
Well,
the way
I
they
think-
have.
I think
To expect to win.
I think you got to learn how to play with each other. They're professional basketball players.
Okay, last night
If he really wants
when
to
he
win.
shot when James Harden shot 1 for 17 from 3, Russell Westbrook had 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists, and they still lost.
Yeah, well, maybe if James Harden wasn't missing shots, someone
Yeah.
else could have been making them. They could have won.
But your argument was he doesn't need to shoot that much because he has Russell Westbrook on the other side.
He doesn't.
Russell
need to-
Westbrook had
he doesn't need
arguably
to
one of
shoot
the
that
game
much.
of his
He doesn't-
life.
He doesn't need to shoot.
No,
that
but
much.
Russell Westbrook had that game of his life, and it
but
still
they have
didn't
other-
matter. They
have
still
other
lost.
talented players. They have PJ Tucker. They have Clint
look,
Capella. They
PJ
have.
Tucker-
What did those guys
Eric
do in
Gordon,
that game?
But PJ Tucker is averaging 7 points a game. He should
Capella
be
had
more than
7.
that. Yeah, he should.
No,
have more than that.
Capella had 12.
Bobby,
PJ
you're
Tucker
literally-
had 5.
You're literally proving our point right now.
Because seven.
No, I'm
seven of those
proving my
threes-
point right now.
7 of those threes could have been.
I'm
taken
saying James
and put
Harden
to-
has to do this to win.
No, he doesn't.
When he did not last night, the role players didn't step up. Russell Westbrook gave it his all, and they still lost. They lost by 5.
Calm down for a
I
second.
think we might agree
You're
to
playing
disagree on
yourself.
this one.
The
No,
role
I'm not
players-
playing myself.
the
I'm
role
winning this
players didn't
argument.
Step up because James Harden was bricking, and they didn't have a chance to step up because they didn't get the ball.
Okay, PJ Tucker played 41 minutes. Ben McLemore played 20. Clint Capella played 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel House played 36.
Okay.
What do
Okay,
you
these guys
expect
have plenty of time to get the ball. That's a lot of time in a basketball game.
They do, but they don't because James Harden has the ball, and he's shooting.
Well,
and
then
he's
why
bricking.
did tell me why did Russell Westbrook post a triple double? How did Russell? If James Harden had the ball the entire time and was just chucking up shots, then why did Russell Westbrook score 36 points,
Okay, Russ gets the ball and Harden gets the ball.
11 rebounds, and 12 assists? 12 assists. He's clearly assisting other guys. How is this happening then?
Because when he's
If James Harden has the ball in his hands the entire time, then how are these guys? How is Russell Westbrook doing so well?
Russ have the ball in their hands the entire time. They're not getting the role players involved in it.
But you said James Harden doesn't need to. James Harden is like holding up the ball most of the time.
He is. Russell Westbrook, as much as he is inefficient, Russell Westbrook is more efficient than James Harden, which is stunning to say.
Yeah, that's
because Russell Westbrook
frightening.
has historically not been a very efficient player. When he was on the Thunder, he was not that efficient. But he's more efficient than James Harden. And I know they're both the ball dominant, but if you're having an off night, you should not be shooting 17 three-pointers.
Yeah, Bobby,
You cannot shoot 17.
It's his
There
style.
is-
It's
there
what
is
he does.
something
It's what
there.
made him the MVP.
There is something there that Westbrook scored 30 plus
Okay.
and had 10 plus assists. That's
Thank you.
fair. But I just, like I said, Harden has to, he just has to get it through his head that
Yeah.
he can't keep doing this. Like they're not gonna win otherwise. He has to defer.
He
more
won
to
the
his
winning
team.
in the regular
He won the
season.
MVP because he scored a lot of points, which is cool.
He had one of the most elite offensive seasons of all time.
Yep. And they still didn't win because you can't win by just scoring points all the time.
They're winning in the regular season.
When Jordan
This-
averaged the most points of his per game of his career, the Bulls didn't win. The Bulls won more when Jordan. He wasn't like averaging no points, but when he averaged less points, the Bulls won more.
And
Because
he was,
Jordan
he was,
realized he couldn't
No, what
score
ab- okay,
a
what
35
about-
game and win.
No, what about that Cavs team with LeBron James in his final year with the Cavs, where he was literally dragging a bunch of dead weight on his shoulders
Yeah,
with that
but-
Cavs supporting cast and brought them to the finals?
but
Their
he
supporting
had-
cast was terrible. Their
he
supporting
had
cast
he had
was terrible.
Zadrunas Ilgauskas for a center.
Are you talking about his last year with the Cavs? Or when
His
he was
last
with-
year with the Cavs, not that
Oh,
year.
got
His
it.
last
Sorry,
year with
sorry.
the Cavs.
Their supporting cast was bad too.
So he
because-
had to do that, and they still won. They were winning games. They went to the finals.
Yeah, but
But-
LeBron is also much better at getting his teammates involved than James Harden is. And LeBron knows when he should get his teammates involved and when he has to score. James Harden, LeBron has the on-off switch of, hey, I know I need to score this game so we can win. Or, hey, look at him this year. He's averaging like 11 assists a game. Like, hey, I know I need to pass to my teammates to win in this type of situation. Or, hey, I need to score in this situation.
No,
James
one
Harden's
of the
only
most
mode is
one of the
score.
criticisms against LeBron James early in his career or later middle of his career was that in the fourth quarter he was not taking the ball and shooting himself and shooting the ball himself. He was passing to his teammates.
Yeah.
And that was a main criticism. He was not clutch in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
So
So, where are you going with that?
Yeah, I'm not. Really
actually I don't know, but
Yeah, I was
anyway.
gonna say.
Okay, so I don't think that's a
I
problem.
should have thought
to
that
be-
out a little more.
I think LeBron learned how to be more aggressive, like with him scoring. James Harden doesn't know how to not be aggressive. He's constantly aggressive trying to score the ball, and he doesn't have the on-off switch or the awareness to know, like, hey, I need to stop shooting, or hey, I need to get my teammates more involved. He's just score, which is cool, and he won an MVP by scoring, which is cool. But like, I feel like you want to win. If you want to be an NBA legend, you need to win. And he's not willing to make the sacrifice of not scoring.
He's one of the greatest offensive players of all time.
Yeah,
He's already
but he's not
considered
one of the
fifth
greatest
time.
players of all time because he can't win.
It's also a bold statement there.
He can't win.
All right, let's-
He's one of the
let's
greatest
switch over.
statistical scorers of all time. I'll give you
For the
that.
sake of time, we could argue about this all day.
Okay.
Quick, just a quick little shout out here to our fellow out there in Portland, Damian Lillard.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
We need to-
61.
Second time was 60 points in a game this year. His previous mark of 60 was the Trailblazers' record, and he broke it again this past week in a close one against the Warriors. And a little fun fact for you, he holds the two highest single-game point totals of any player 6'2" or shorter.
Wow.
Just disappointing that this man's still underrated.
Yeah, head coach Terry Stotts said that he's running out of adjectives to describe him and that he's just an amazing player. It makes you wish that the Trailblazers could win a little more than they're doing, but
Absolutely. Shout
know.
out Weaver State.
yeah, it's true. Don't give me that look, Nathan. All right. Mark, you want to talk a little bit about college basketball, or should we talk about our That's Whack? What do you want to do? We should take a break, actually.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, I'll have to be leaving in a quick minute. So I guess I'll...
We'll cut college basketball next time. Let's do it, but before you leave, Mark,
Absolutely.
let's do a That's Whack, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back. Nathan and I will do some pick'ems, and we'll be done. All right. So That's Whack. So this week, after LSU's national championship win, Louisiana police issued an arrest warrant for Odell Beckham Jr. after they claimed he assaulted a police officer by slapping him on the butt, which did happen. He did slap him on the butt, so that's wrong.
Video
words there.
evidence.
Video evidence, yes. but they issued an arrest warrant for the man. And on the same day, he also gave real money to LSU players, which Joe Burrow confirmed, which is an NCAA violation, and interrupted Coach O's championship speech. Is there a team in the NFL that could stabilize this man? What do we think of this? Is this funny or an issue?
It's not an issue. I feel bad for Odell. Everyone goes after him for everything, and I think he's misconstrued. I think he's a team player, and he wants to win. And as much as he's been frustrated about not getting – he's been rightfully frustrated about not getting the ball in Cleveland because, frankly, Baker Mayfield sucks, and Freddie Kitchens was a terrible coach. So I understand his frustration this year, and I think Odell gets unfairly characterized as a poor teammate because I think he just wants to win, and he gets frustrated. And I feel like people try to nitpick, and this is like – This situation is like it's kind of dumb on his part, but like he's having fun. His alma mater just won the national championship. Like let the man have some fun and like.
Yeah. My one thing is after he slapped the officer, kind of just like started dancing in front of him,
and taunting him a little bit.
I was a little confused by that, but the money thing just kind of a baller move, honestly. Just really respect it.
I think it's kind of a slap in the face to the NCAA,
a little bit.
I really appreciate it because I do not like the NCAA. So.
No, I think you've made that clear on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Just Odell was on one that night. I think that's what everything can be summed up.
I think people just need to leave him alone. And
that'd probably be best. All right, we'll take our final break. When we come back, Nathan and I are going to do some pick'ems, and then we'll reveal how our records are going because we have not talked about that in a while.
Bobby forgot 1 week, so that's why.
Well, also I kind of want to flex that I have a better record, but anyway, let's go to break.
All you cool people, you better leave now because it's about to happen.
Friday night and I'm riding solo. With a touchdown, keep it on the low low. I don't mess with your energy. No photos. So antisocial, but I don't care. Don't give a damn, I'm gonna smoke here. Got a bottle in my hand, bring more though. Got my hat low, don't talk to me. I've been down, give me some space. You don't know what's in my brain. Music loud, he's in my pain. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, I wanna buy it. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. Won't let nothing come in between me and the night. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, I wanna buy it. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. Won't let nothing come in between me and the night.
I need room. Where you standing way too close, you might catch fumes. When I zoom. Pass out, wake up by myself, or right past noon. Then I'm doomed. Hennessy's drowning all of my issues. Right before I leave, she give me more than just a issue. That thing got more back just like my engine, I can't hit it. Seen a vision in a boy, then we committed. I've been lost out in a space. You left me right in my place. I put you down on my name.
Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, I wanna buy it. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. Won't let nothing come in between me and the night. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, I wanna buy it.
Welcome back to our final bit of the segment here. Let's do some pick'ems. But first, I would like to point out that our season pick'em records, I am 14-6. Nathan is 12-8.
But I'm catching up because you were 8-2 before, and I was 5-5. So I have closed the gap.
Well, when I go 5 for 5 this week, things will change. All right, let's get to it.
All right.
Clippers, Mavs. Who you got?
I'm really torn. I'm gonna go with the Mavs. Honestly, I wish I knew who was playing for the Clippers.
That would be helpful.
Which
yes,
would be helpful because you never really know who's gonna play. But I'm gonna go Mavs.
I'm gonna go Clippers.
All right.
All right. Nuggets, Rockets. Who you got?
I got the Nuggets.
I got Rockets.
All right.
James Harden's going to rebound. He's going to
Is
make
he?
10 of those 33s he shoots. All
Is
right.
he now?
Clippers and Heat.
I like the Heat. I'm
Okay.
going against the Clippers in both games this week, so I'm going with the Heat.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Heat as well on this one.
Finally, we picked the same thing. There we go. Actually, I don't think-
Lakers, Sixers. Jeez, we're playing the Lakers? Oh, my God. Okay.
I'm torn. It depends on what version of the 76ers shows up.
I can't. I mean, I would.
Also,
I would,
somewhat. No, the Lakers are way more consistent than the Sixers.
it's at home. Damn, I wish I was going to that at home. That'd be really nice.
I am going to go. I'm going to go Lakers. I'm going to go Lakers.
You're going to go Lakers?
I trust the Lakers more.
Okay. I'm going to go. I gotta go
Decisions,
Sixers. I bet against the Sixers last time against the Nets, and that was not a good idea. So I lost that one. So try not to do that again. Grizzlies and Celtics.
I'm going Grizzlies. Big
You're gonna
game
go
for John
Grizzlies?
Morant. Big
Did
game
you know
for
that
Morant.
John Morant isn't the John Morant that plays in the video game, right?
I did know that, but he's still very good.
Well, okay. Backstory on that: John Morant, when you play with him in 2K20, the man has serious bounce. It's
And
little-
speed.
and speed. He can blow by any defender. It's a little bit unfair. I'm gonna go Celtics. Jason Tatum is starting to play a little bit more like the Kobe guy that he idolizes, although I'm not happy about it. But it's not for me to decide. All right, those are our pick'ems for this week.
I'm catching you.
I know you're coming.
Are we
but
putting something on this? Are we putting some? I think we should put something on this.
You want to put something on this?
I think the loser should buy the winner dinner at the end of the school year.
All right, I'm down for that.
You want to do it?
And you mean just the total season pick'em or this pick'em?
Your total season pick'em.
All right, I'm
The
down
end
for
of
that.
I thought after our last show.
I'm down for that. You'll be
Whoever's the
buying
better
me
record.
a nice steak dinner, Nathan.
Steak. Oh, are we not setting a price limit on this?
Oh no, we can set a price limit. Sure.
Okay, we'll set a price limit.
All right,
At some point.
Okay, yeah, at some point. Well, that'll
Off
be
the
decided
air.
in the future.
Although I don't know if there's a governing body for like college radio like there is for college sports, so I don't think we're violating any rules by doing this. But like, you never know.
If we are, I apologize, Vandy Radio.
We might be the subject of an NCAA investigation.
That's
I don't
true.
know. I don't know.
But we're not student athletes, though. I mean, yeah. So
Student
all right.
broadcasters.
Student broadcasters,
There we go.
exactly.
There we go.
All right. Thank you for listening in to this week's edition of Kent and Code. I'm Bobby Kent for Nathan Code and Mark Dellostritto. We say good night.
That.
Dun, 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 dun.
You got it? You good?
No, what'd you do? What were you doing?
I thought you were just stuttering, so I was making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
Because you
Thank
completely botched the conclusion.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it again then. Thank you for listening in to Kent and Code. I'm Bobby Kent with Nathan Code and Mark Dellostritto. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
There we go.